Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. An important question which has been asked numerous times is in regard to Kaden Pressy and what did he see in regard to Noah Presgrove at 2:42 in the morning onwards, at the latest 3:20, when Kaden in the police interview claimed to have gone to sleep, but just around that time also highlighted that he assumed Noah Presgrove was still in sight at the party despite not being able to see him. What was really going on around that time frame window? And at the latest of 3:20, that's only 10 minutes off from when Noah Presgrove supposedly walked away from the house, and there could have been arguments in between or what followed after, because we've heard a mention on the wrongful death lawsuit of Jack Avery verbal fight with Noah Presgrove. No specified time given, but because of the bedroom debacle, because of the teabagging, because of the shower situation earlier, I'm doing that in reverse order of events. How many of those events did Kaden Pressy see? Or was there any of those events in which Kaden Pressy was somewhat awake but didn't quite see or didn't quite hear it? Could Kaden have been awake at the time of one of those events taking place, but it was in a different room, or there was a blind spot? So this video, credit to Brenda for asking the questions recently, and my answer at the time was there appears to be some kind of blind spot, and in a way I still stick by that, because even when looking at the footage by Kaden Pressy taken, I believe, 10:50 p.m. Sunday night, I was panning around looking at the dining area, the kitchen area, the couch, the sofas, the people ahead, the one of Georgia, white shirt, Christmas tree in the background, that one. There's some areas which you can't quite make out, and if they're sat down at the countertop, you know, can you quite see people's heads? You got the beam outline from the rooms, like an open plan room. Is that what we call it? Open plan. But then you got the beams above where you could have walled it in, so it's two separate rooms, or breakthrough, so it's one big open one. But because you got the outline of the beam, there seems to be maybe a bit of a cut-off point with the kitchen area, so it kind of bends around, and then with the countertop and being on the side of it, or if you was crouched down doing something, you could be out of place, out of sight, and depending the angling of Kaden, might not quite be able to see it. Depends if Kaden would stand or move, because at the end of the day, if anything did happen, any events, and Kaden was away, all Kaden would have to do is just stand up, walk a few steps forwards or back, pop his head round the room or so, and then you might see what's going on. But how static, how stationary was Kaden? Was it mentioned that 2:42 he stood up and then was looking around? Can't quite remember that reference. He was looking around, but did he actually stand up physically to move? You let me know your thoughts below. But yeah, I just want to combine it all together with different photos, screenshots, different points of views, and whether it's linked to the actual time of the party in terms of party footage. There is at least one screenshot taken from, with credit to Avery Joe Combs' TikTok page, at the time in the past when people jumped in on that compilation video and tried applying it to it all taking place at the party, the fat ginger cowboy and all of that. Well, that was, I think, ruled out and said it was a load of BS, and it was just a compilation video of happy memories and times, different locations, different parties. But there is at least one screenshot from that compilation which is of the party house, and even if it's at a different day, a different time to the party, it's of the same location in the kitchen dining area, which is extremely important, because when you look at photos and videos, it's already limited, isn't it? It'll either be at the porchway outside. That's pretty much it. The only exception could be when you had Jack Newton licking the cream off Noah Presgrove, but the angling of that, there was like a tent or something in the background. I don't know if we'll have to go back over that again at a different point in time. But this particular screenshot, what we're looking at today, is quite important because of the angling of it. It's like the opposite end of the room from Kaden Pressy's point of view. So when Kaden Pressy was sat down panning around and you saw the kitchen area ahead, well, it's from the kitchen area to where some of the chairs are at. So you can see it from both sides of the room, or diagonally speaking, and then you can work out for yourself. Did Kaden Pressy see anything? Or more so the questions of, if he was awake, would he have seen enough, or would there have been a blind spot completely? I do think there is a bit of a blind spot, but you can leave your own thoughts below. Welcome to those that are watching this live premiere. Share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. Leave your comments, thoughts, and questions below under the video in the comment section. It does help with spreading awareness. The comments left below help with the engagement, and then YouTube can push the videos out there, so then more awareness can be spread. If there is time, we're definitely going to look at the comment section from the last video that was done. Brenda has made some other important comments, and so have other people in between, so I'll read through that, answer any questions if necessary, and if I can, give my point of view, my analysis, my reaction, and just mix it all into today because it's very important. Don't believe I've really done a video quite like this before, or at least I've not done a dedicated video, so it should show up clear this time round. The video that I did a day or two ago was extremely important, but unfortunately it didn't seem to quite hit the nail on the head, as in attention or focus, which is quite disappointing because it was a long forgotten comment claiming that Noah had walked away the night or the day before. I think that's extremely important when the heavy focus is on only 3:30 of walking away. What about earlier on in the day of Monday? What about the night before? What about all of that? Well, I've done a map analysis now. You can check it out. If you've missed out on that video or any others in between, you'll be able to find the full playlist with all the videos associated to it with the case, top right corner, where the I symbol is up there. Be sure to check it. And if you want to support my channel, there is a PayPal link below in the pinned comment section of the messages. With that being said, the order of how we'll do things, we're jumping straight into the screenshots, just explain them, break it down bit by bit so you're familiar with, then add on to the theories and ideas in regard to certain events which supposedly happened and what Kaden could have seen if he was awake. And as we've already seen with Kaden Pressy's senses, early on he says, well, I saw it, I witnessed it. And then later he says, well, I didn't actually see it, I only heard about it. As in with his ears. Limited, but not clear to begin with. So what other things could he have been in the presence of, but wasn't quite there with it or aware? Time will tell. Leave your thoughts as we go along, and then we'll add on with the comments section. Here is the first one, you should be familiar with by now. It is a screenshot from the video itself of Kaden Pressy, and it does have the original timestamp because this was not a snap, in case you're wondering. I think for most part of it, Kaden Pressy's original video recordings were from his mobile device, stored internally via his gallery and not recorded through a social media app. Maybe it might have been reposted or done to snaps at a later point regardless, but the original footage, like what you see here, screenshot from the video, it is from iPhone default gallery, and I think that's very important to acknowledge. On the same lines, I believe, as whoever that was recording Pepe Guam and Mikey Lair outside of the party house at 2:32 in the morning of Monday. You can tell by the outline. So that overlay, what you see up top, is the original time and date. And you know what I find really interesting is, despite Kaden Pressy being inconsistent at times, just like other party goers, a lot of people have been lenient towards Kaden when Kaden has said in his words a timestamp of when this or that happened. Just like the Brylan Sweat slapping Noah Presgrove at 1:30 in the morning, and it turned out it was wrong. It was 1:05 in the morning, the actual timestamp showed. And even something like this, where it actually shows the proper timestamp of when Kaden Pressy was recording, not once from my own encounters, not once has anyone questioned that time or that date and said, oh, it's been manipulated, it's been altered with. It's like there's an assumption, an instant idea that it's only the dark side that would manipulate times and dates and numbers, etc. And some people could say, well, it's because they've already done it in the past, so it's likely to happen again and again. But for that full perspective and balance, I'm just surprised no one has even considered it to a small extent, even if it might seem impossible, but there's a 0.1% chance that how true is this time? Now, me personally, I'm not questioning it or doubting it much, but I'm making it as an observation that people are quick to judge other people's snaps and clips and videos. But when Kaden Pressy shows his, everybody just nods their heads and doesn't even give it a second thought of questioning. That is what the problem is. It's very one-sided. So I just wanted to make that very clear. And I kept the overlay on just so you could see. What I do want to say very, very quickly, and make sure you're listening in, because it's to do with Kaden Pressy. When Kaden Pressy mentioned about he was shown by someone at a later point, different day, of the after effects of the side-by-side rollover, and it was a photo from a video, screenshot, kind of like what we're looking at here. Whether that be from Snapchat, whether it be from the default gallery, and Kaden Pressy said there was a timestamp associated with the photo, and it said 2:40 in the morning. What I want to put the argument across right now is, whilst this is a screenshot from the video and the video would play itself, you got the timestamp above of the video, when it was taken, the date and time naturally. But then you've got a second time, top left corner at 3:13. What's that all about? That's 3:13 at the time of when Kaden either took the screenshot or, took a screenshot from the video that was recorded back in September 3rd, 2023 at 10:50 p.m. When the video was recorded in real time in the moment, that is the date, that is the time. But then taking a screenshot of that video and turning it into a photo, that's done at a different point in time. And the time of when the screenshot was taken was at the time shown on the person's phone at 3:13. So what I'm thinking is, could that after effects of the side-by-side rollover, the person that was showing the photo, which was probably and has to be a screenshot, if it's from a video but it's a still thing, it'll be a screenshot. When Kaden Pressy was shown that, the screenshot gave a time, but not like what you see in the middle of the screen, but more so a timestamp, what you see top left corner. And it said 2:40. Is it possible that the side-by-side after effect rollover did not occur at 2:40, but at a later point when that person that recorded it, who decided to take a screenshot from the video, the real time, in the moment of when the screenshot was taken on a different day, the screenshot was taken at the time of 2:40 in the morning, which Kaden Pressy saw and assumed that it meant 2:40 as in on the day of Noah's death of Monday. Does that make sense? Two different times like what you see on screen here. The one in the middle is the real time, as in when the actual video was done. And then if you've got a screenshot of the video, a screenshot of a photo, and then it captures the overlay of your battery life, your Wi-Fi level, and the time, present, in the present, well then there could be a bit of a mix-up. So I just wanted to mention that before we get any further. This one's blurry, but it is what it is. That's the clearest one going, but it doesn't show the full perspective. But zooming in, bit of a distance away. When there are people stood about, there are blind spots, so let's not forget that. Is there a chance, and it depends how many people were stood about hanging around, when Kaden Pressy was awake at 2:42, granted, made a reference that he saw Noah, Jack and Jasmine near a beer pong table. Now, where's the beer pong table? Is it that table what you see there with some cans resting on top? Or is the beer pong table elsewhere? We'll have to see if it shows in any other angles or perspectives. But beside that, at 3 in the morning onwards from the police interview, at 3:20 when Kaden's just about to go to sleep, and Kaden says, well, I didn't see Noah Presgrove present, just assumed he was still there. Well then at 3:20, what is Noah Presgrove doing? Is Noah having a shower and that's why he's out of sight? Because he's in a different room, he's in the bathroom. Could Noah have been teabagging people? Unlikely, because Kaden would have seen and probably felt it firsthand. Could Noah Presgrove at 3:20 have been sat down eating ramen noodles and yogurt provided by Carter Combs in the kitchen area, as you see in the distance over there? But wouldn't it be in sight, in view? Wouldn't Kaden have clearly have seen it at 3:20 as an example? It all comes down to what time did Kaden actually go back to sleep? It seems to be reinforced that 2:42 is true, because Alicia's call log actually shows that's when she called Kaden, and that's when Kaden claims he was woken up. So that can be ticked off the list. The police interview, Kaden may have said, I woke up at 3 a.m, that's when Alicia called. Well, that's bollocks, because Alicia's call log shows 2:42. And Kaden's original, his partners in true crime interview said at 2:42. So we stick with 2:42, okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm sticking with 2:42 when Kaden woke up, and that's the time when he saw Noah. Okay then. So from 2:42 to 3:20, what did Noah Presgrove do in that time frame window to be seen by Kaden at 2:42, but then later at 3:20 to be nowhere to be seen, but still assumed to be at the party? Which appears to be the case because it was 10 minutes after when Noah actually left and walked away. But what was he doing in between that time frame window of 2:42 to 3:20, and in what order exactly? Well, we've heard it's to do with the shower. Well, before the shower, granted, the side-by-side rollover. Timestamp unavailable because Kaden says 2:40, but that would mean 2 minutes later, Kaden wakes up as where he is, his point of view almost. Not to be mixed up with the video clip of being at the same time, it's different. This is Sunday night. Sunday. But we're using this photo from the point of view of Kaden Pressy to simulate what it could have looked like if Kaden had woken up at 2:42 on Monday, panning around, looking about, what's in sight, who's present. Is the beer pong table there, or is it elsewhere? Sees Noah Presgrove present with Jasmine. Is Jasmine anywhere to be seen here? I think she might be in the... So you see Noah in the middle. On the left, back facing us is Breely, George's friend. Georgia is on the further right in the white shirt. Behind that is Jack Newton in the orange baseball cap. There's a Christmas tree. And besides the Christmas tree is Carter Combs, I believe. Next to Carter Combs, don't know who that person is. It could be Logan Jernigan, maybe. As for the forefront, you got Noah Presgrove in the middle. On the right, that guy in the black hat and shirt. Is it Carlson Myers or somebody else? Some little names crop up here and there. Then on the far left, and it's a blind spot, because yes, you got Jasmine Milan in that grey shirt, which we saw at 3:41 on Monday, the snap. That is Jasmine Milan. Behind Breely is another person. Besides Jasmine in the background is possibly either Stephanie Milan or Stephanie's boyfriend. They're kind of out of shot, out of sight. So if Noah Presgrove was somewhere over in that direction, could Kaden have seen Noah when Kaden said, I couldn't see Noah, I still assumed he was present? You get what I'm saying? Depends what event. If it's the bedroom debacle, that's in a completely different room, closed doors, kind of, right? Different room, Kaden's not going to see. If it's the kitchen situation or the teabagging moment, well, then it should be in more open sight, right? Unless there's a blind spot, hence why we're here. And if it was earlier with the shower, that would have been in a separate room as well. So for as long as there's separate rooms and doors, and if Noah's in any of them and Kaden remains static here, even if he does stand up to pan around, Kaden isn't going to see too much. But he could still use his ears if he heard people laughing or joking. I mean, this is Sunday, so most people are up and about and stood around and drinking. The odd person on the couch there outside. It might be shown on a different screenshot angle. And then far right corner of the room, a couple of other people, including Pepe Graham, in which Kaden Pressy did say October the 6th, 2023 onwards, in a conversation with someone on Facebook Messenger, said, I don't trust that guy. I think that he could be a bad person, or there was something off about him at the time and even later. And Kaden was suspicious or cautious of Pepe Guam, which is very interesting, isn't it? That Kaden Pressy was suspicious of Pepe Graham, thought there's something bad about him. But Kaden also believed that there was possibly something going with Travis Monson, who was making the girls feel uncomfortable on the Saturday, supposedly, picking up girls, placing them on the countertops and being very close to them, and all the girls felt uncomfortable and being rude as well and disrespectful. Travis Monson supposedly and Colton Newton tagging along. Interesting. Very. But besides that one screenshot, this one being more blurry, but you can see, look, it's zoomed in, this, or at least it appears to be more zoomed in. That one not so much. I don't know if Kaden Pressy zoomed out on the iPhone, that 0.5 outwards zoom where it creates like a fisheye effect, but it might make the distance, the drawback, more accurate to the actual peripheral vision of Kaden at the time. You further back, whether it makes the room look bigger than what it actually is, or actually is more accurate to how the eyes do justice with Kaden's point of view. When more zoomed out, right, it makes it harder to see in the distance. And honestly, I'm not an expert with houses or buildings, right? Okay, but you see the archway, you see the outline of the different rooms. Let's call it like that. It's like an open plan one, but it could have been filled in with a wall at some point, or at some point in the future. See the archway, right? And in each room, it's divided by fans on the ceiling. And in the middle, you got a clear outline of an archway, and it runs down the side on the other side of that sofa. And it bends round. I know it's really blurry, but it does bend round to the kitchen area where there's some people sat. So if Noah Presgrove was over there in the corner, tucked away, maybe Kaden may have not seen Noah Presgrove, right? And it doesn't always have to be about Noah. It could be any time at the party. Is it possible to edit it on the spot just to make it a bit easier for you when viewing? I don't always do this, but I think it's kind of important. So let's just work with what we've got. I think it's more so the sharpness which is needed, not so much the other things. Add a little bit of depth there, contrast-wise, for sure. There we go. Saturation, tint, sharpness, absolutely. Oh, there we go. That's exactly what was needed. Definition. The definition will add the shaping to it all, right? Perfect. So you can clearly see the outline of the different room plans, the archway, and how the beam runs down, and then it goes into the kitchen area over there. That if you are sat down or round that corner in the kitchen area, there could be a bit of a blind spot out of sight, depending on how you interpret it, of course. And if you are sat down at the countertop or just behind it, might not be visible. And it also depends how long Kaden Pressy was looking about or looking in that direction for, and whether he actually moved about inside the building or not. If he just remained static, turning his head about like a swivel, then sitting back down. The zoom there does seem closer to the kitchen than that one. I don't know if it's trick of the camera, as in one's more zoomed out than the other. Got to take that into mind, that perspective and depth of field. You let me know your thoughts below, because like on iPhone, you can be on ×1 zoom and then you can zoom in more, so it appears closer than what you actually are. But you can actually go backwards before ×1, as in times 0.5 or so, and then it just creates more of a field of view, sometimes making it a little bit more realistic, as in what you may see in the moment, because the camera doesn't always do it justice when it's on regular zoom. Kind of like when you're looking at a great height or a drop, a view ahead, it might not look quite the same on camera as it does with your own eyes in real life. So sometimes by zooming out, it kind of makes it a little bit more closer to what you would see. So there seems to be quite a bit of distance here from room to room. And the further you are away, as for what you may see, could be a little bit more limited. But, you know, when you got the chairs about and people are resting on them, more people resting down on them, as in Monday 242, because Mikey's supposed to be on the floor resting, Brylan on one of the chairs, and Kaden. Would that leave a spare chair for someone else? Well, no, you got Isaac, Brylan. Okay. 1, 2, 3 pieces of furniture from what I'm aware of. 3 of the guys resting on them, including Kaden, Isaac, and Brylan, and then Mikey, short straw, on the floor, but resting, not supposedly completely asleep. Because whilst at 2:42, Kaden saw Mikey on the floor about 10, 11 minutes earlier or whatever, at 2:32, Mikey was outside. So Mikey was on the move when Kaden was asleep, and Kaden just assumed that Mikey never moved up to a certain point. So it goes to show that Kaden can presume this or that based on what he sees, but when Kaden isn't quite awake or aware, other things are going on. So just because Kaden says, well, I saw this, so that must mean, or that could mean that this happened or that didn't happen, it's what happened after. It's what happened before when Kaden was asleep, right? What did Kaden see compared to what he didn't? When Kaden saw one thing and he thinks that's the case, maybe something else happened after that or earlier when Kaden wasn't aware, when asleep. All these like little factors you've got to take into mind. Now, it might look awkward, this, as in the positioning, but, you know, it's just a still screenshot from the footage. The main and important thing to focus on here, and it's the best screenshot quality I could find because it's part of a compilation video. They don't pan the camera around, so you can't see the full area of the kitchen, but you can see the width of the table, the countertop. There are some wooden planks which go up, which add a blockage to field of view. There is tiling on the floor as well. I would zoom in to point it out to you, but then it's going to be a bit awkward zooming into someone's behind whilst they're dancing, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm just going to keep it as it is, because I'm sure there'll be some whingy whiners that will get petty or complain about something, right? This is the only screenshot that's available from this angle, but I think I do need to zoom in the distance because I think there's like a phone resting on the countertop. Now, granted, this could well... Is it definitely from the same party though? Well, you got Jack Newton just behind Carter Combs. Jack in his like orange cap, which is very similar to what we see in Kaden's point of view footage. It's blurry, but there are some bottles there, I believe. Alcohol, well, there we go. So based on that perspective, you know, if there's visible, whether this is from the same party or not, I just want to make that clear, I'm not too sure. But the fact that there are bottles in sight, alcohol, if this was the same perspective or to some extent the same as when parents and guardians of other party goers were elsewhere camping, whatever, looked at the phone, looked at the Snapchats, looked at the party, didn't think much of it, didn't report it, didn't call out social hosting until it was too late afterwards, yet the Snapchat footage, what they saw was of bottles possibly and cans about. Oh, we'll turn a blind eye. Oh, it doesn't really matter. And then death, right, outrage, let's now complain, let's now report it. Oh, but we saw it earlier. We witnessed it earlier. We could have reported it in earlier, and maybe Noah Presgrove could have been alive. But we're not going to blame ourselves. We're going to blame other people only. And one way, wrongful death lawsuit comes in. Wrongful death lawsuit claims of certain individuals like Wilcoxon, Stevie Howard's father, Stevie Howard themselves, whilst they weren't there, they knew of a party that was going to take place and alcohol involved, so they must be to blame and they're responsible because they knew but they didn't take action and they didn't report it, they didn't do anything, they just allowed it to happen. Bad people. But then what about the guardians and the parents of the other partygoers that saw footage on and off and may have seen alcohol on that condition being met, just like what you see there? Oh, that's perfectly fine. Seems one-sided to me. Do we need to clear this up? Do you know what? Whilst we're here, we might as well edit it, right? Give me a second. We'll lower the lighting just a bit. Add a bit of depth. As I said, it's the only angle that's available, so unfortunately, it doesn't actually show like the chairs clear enough. But you can see it from one end of the room to the other. What else do we need? Sharpness, crank that up just a bit more, and then the definition, something like that. Could also take in mind how it goes from room to room, not looking at Carter but looking at in the background. It's like carpet, I think, and then the ground here, it's more like tiling, so you can see the transition from room to room and the quality of it. On this side, I think that's... let me zoom in anymore. No, it won't. Just beside the hat on the countertop, there's like a red object, which could be a smartphone, possibly an iPhone. It resembles one. Those bottles of beer, I think they appear a little bit more clearer and crisper in quality. That's Jack back there. But are they wearing the same clothing? Well, look, you got I know it's out of shot, but on the left-hand side, you got the Christmas tree there. And then when we go to this one, that's the Christmas tree back there. You got Jack Newton as well with the orange baseball cap. And just based off that, baseball cap, Christmas tree on the left-hand side. So hopefully that makes sense from one end of the room to the other, almost diagonal. But Carter there wearing shorts and like a white oversized shirt of some sort. Is Carter wearing a white shirt here? It's hard to tell. And is that actually Carter or is it Avery? Well, I don't know. You got Georgia there in the white shirt, different person. In the background, I believe that's Carter, but I can see a slight little tinge of pink, like pink shorts. And it just so happened that there was that footage of Carter running through that block or item with pink shorts on, if it is the Carter Combs I'm thinking of. So, but what timestamp was that? Sunday. Well, this was Sunday as well, so it ties in. Take in mind that if this what you see on screen was from the same party, and I don't know, I'm being honest with you, I don't know. It's definitely the same house, the same building, I can guarantee you that. And familiar faces present as well. But in terms of the day of the party, it might have been a different day if it is to do with the same party. I mean, it's a coincidence that Jack Newton's topless in the background, orange baseball cap as well. As for Carter, Carter, when running through that block, that item on Sunday night, this footage is from Sunday night, wearing the pink shorts. There's a link there. But then, what day, what time did Carter then change clothes? Was this on a Saturday instead? Was this Saturday evening? I mean, the room looks quieter, not as many people about, so could it have been Saturday evening, Saturday night? If not that, could it have been Monday morning, early hours? It depends what day, and if it is, first of all, you got a question, is it from the same party? It is of the same building, so that's one thing that can be ticked off the list. If it is from the same party, then likely taken on a different day, a different evening, compared to this one on Sunday. Either it'd be on Saturday that or Monday morning, which is quite important, to be honest. As for the person on the right off camera, basically shaking their body, I don't know if that is Avery, because obviously there's someone holding the camera recording all this. So there's different points of views, of course. It's just to show visually, the party house from a different angle. If there was other material out there to work with, then that's what I would do, but it's just not available, so that's why I'm using this. This, once again, is Kaden Pressy, and I'll just clear it up. Kaden Pressy, Sunday, 10:50 once again, okay? I've just divided it out, spread it about, just so then we can go from photo to photo, if you know what I mean. Brightness, black point. Add just a little bit of depth there. Sharpness, of course. Perfect. And then what do we need? Definition. So they've got AirPlay, TV, Apple on the right-hand side with the drawers. Kaden Pressy more centered in the corner of the room here. Very interesting. Kind of in the corner of the room. Where the arrow is the kitchen dining area, and that's the spot over that way. Where these two were dancing. But it's important that with the countertop, the white one, and just above there's like a wooden beam or a board that goes up and maybe attached to cupboards. And whether the fitting of the kitchen area, depending on the angle, bends around, it can add a bit of a blind spot if you stood behind that plank of wood or behind a cupboard or near to an open cupboard, right? In fact, when Kaden Pressy is looking from this angle, zoomed out, is he going to see everything from over there? What is going on in the kitchen, which Kaden doesn't see? But still, he can still use his ears, which should go a long way, right? Overhearing conversations, overhearing any arguments whatsoever. Hopefully, Brenda, this is making sense. The reason why I say Brenda is because they were the one that, mentioned the important question, and I'm trying to visually show it here, the best that can be done. Corner of the room over there's a cross on bookshelf. The person there that looks like they're dressed like a stripper, but I think it's just a male. Looks like dodgy clothing, but more so it's probably down to what would you say? It's just the quality of it, that's all it is. It's nothing that deep. It's just guys in the corner, and then one of them is Pepe Graham, which is, it looks like a mysterious figure in the corner back there near to the bookshelf. That's Pepe Graham, supposedly the one Kaden Pressy was cautious of. Then there is one on the left who's topless with a white shirt, or a white baseball cap. You got the ring lighting, and that's what that halo effect is. It's like a ring one, which influencers would normally use when doing the videos. Person on the couch, don't know who that person is. Quite low down on the ground, that couch as well, sofa. But we do have a different angle of it, which looks in that direction. So when you go back to this one here, right? In the distance there, you got a chair, little chair there, which is probably, it is the one what you see there. Same one, okay? That's good. Bookshelf as well. We only see part of the bookshelf because the rest is off camera on the left hand side. And just below the bookshelf is a Hoover, a vacuum cleaner. That bookshelf you do see back there, up against where that person is, right? Can't see the vacuum cleaner. Very important. It's pretty good. Now, just behind Jack over there, you see that little black outline in between them? That black outline is the TV, which you see there from Kaden Pressy's point of view, right? That's supposedly the same TV in this couch area where the girls and Kaden sat about when watching TV, watching movies, when it came to Sunday morning after breakfast, when they got dropped off at the house, and then the rest of the guys went back out and Kaden Pressy remained there. Why did Kaden Pressy get dropped off with the girls, though? Is it because of Kaden not being mobile? But he managed to go to work to get breakfast, at least. So, what was the reasoning for Kaden being dropped off? Is it just because that's what Kaden wanted? To rest, to relax, to go easy? Who knows? But nevertheless, this one is a bit questionable because I'm trying to figure out the angling of it. I've had to rotate the screen. People in the past claimed that Avery and whoever else was doing drugs near the sink, and others claimed doing drugs from a drinking can. Well, basically, they were shotgunning drinks, like a party game competition, who can drink it the fastest, not that deep. Beside that, that was cleared up in the past to some extent, but, you got a countertop, the white countertop, similar. The cupboards as well, but the angling of it, I'm not too sure from what angle it's from, because it's like a little island effect that on the outer side, when you're in the dining lounge area, you got the countertop, and then on the other side of the countertop, you're within the kitchen area, but then within the kitchen area, you got more countertops behind them, and then above, you got the cupboards. Creates a bit of a complex, an outlay of where things are situated, so people could be on either side of the countertop, and then there's a countertop behind that, so it could add a blind spot. I said this may or may not be from the same party. It may or may not be from the same house. I'm going to be honest with you, just because of the angling of it. But the cupboards and the countertops do seem somewhat similar, or at least the countertop. But take in mind, out there in that state, that area, that country in general, probably a bit too vague to say in that country, in that state, in that town, in that county, but houses, certain kitchen equipment, appliances and tables could come across as very similar. Wood effect, wood itself, white countertops. But I'm just saying the countertop, the colouring of it does look similar to what you see there, the countertop. But I don't know from what angle, because I can't quite make out. I don't know what's quite in the background. If this, to be honest, where the camera is placed on the ground, it would be probably more so not from that angle, no. But it could have been resting on the countertop, back there, but facing inwards to the kitchen, right? But I said there's blind spots, but then there's obstructions with other objects. I think there's a level of depth to that kitchen, as it might bend around slightly, and then even that wall back there. Can you see it above the guy's black hat? That wall that sticks out just a little bit adds a blind spot, similar to, hence why you don't see all of the tree, you only see part of it stuck out, because where that white thing is down there, that is basically the wall that sticks out from back there. These little blind spots, depending who was stood and where about, maybe Kaden may not be able to see. It's just a suggestion. What I do want to highlight before I do forget is what's back there. There is whether it be a door, there's an entranceway and there's a light source coming from it. I think there's a light fitting as well just there, possibly. Does anyone know what room that is? It's bloody narrow. I'll be honest with you, with my 21 or 20 whatever inch shoulder width, I think I'll be walking like a crab if I was there. I don't think I'll be able to fit through that bloody door, right? Big bastard. But, is that into the bathroom area, or would it be to one of the girls' bedrooms? Does anyone know if context can be given? Is it a hallway which leads to multiple rooms, or what? Because let's just say if that was the bathroom, well then it's a walk straight across from the kitchen to there, and more importantly, Kaden Pressy's point of view was, okay, we don't have it with us right now because we don't really need to use it, but when Kaden Pressy pans to the left, I think you see the front doorway, if I'm correct in saying. So the front doorway near to where Kaden was resting, hence why Kaden's timeline of 5:15, when the door slammed open, it woke me up, as Kaden said. Well, because it's nearby, bang sound, fair enough. But, for Noah Presgrove to pass on through that front door when leaving or when returning earlier with the just after the effects of the Southside rollover, coming on in, being escorted, it would mean being escorted, for example, across this room, across from where Kaden Pressy is sat, resting, asleep, etc., to go diagonal from the doorway to the entranceway over there, if that was to be the bathroom. I don't know personally. It's all close together. Movement, senses, the breeze, sounds, any floorboards, any noise, any talking. Very close to Kaden Pressy. See, just based on the 5:15 timeline, when the door banged open and Jack announced the news, it woke Kaden Pressy up. But then Kaden Pressy said he then had to wake the other guys up that were resting on the chairs, on the sofa, on the floor, etc. Why does a loud banging door wake Kaden up but nobody else? And then Kaden has to tell everyone and wake everyone up, whilst Jack's screaming out of his lungs saying, Noah's dead, Noah's dead. And it's only Kaden that's really awake by it. It's weird. Is just everyone else a heavy sleeper or something? Passed out deep or what? It's a side thing to acknowledge. Now, if there's any teabagging going on, who to? Because that's a supposed event that took place. Those that are resting on the couch, on the sofa, on the ground. But then you've got someone like Mikey Lair that never went to sleep, as Jack mentions. And from some of the footage, what we've seen, such as 5:27 of Mikey in a girl's bed, Logan and Jasmine awake, smiling and happy, oblivious, unaware of the news of Noah Presgrove's death at the time, because supposedly Kaden's timeline is wrong. Well, based off that, if Mikey never really went to sleep, then beside Kaden Pressy being asleep during the time of the shower situation, the bedroom debacle, and so on, Was Mikey Lair a witness to any of that? Saw it, heard it? Because if it is claimed that Mikey never went to sleep, then if Mikey was always awake, then there was always a chance for Mikey to see or hear something besides the focus being on Kaden Pressy. So what's going on there? Does anyone know? Yeah, Mikey could be on the floor, and you lay down on the floor and you got the sofas, couches surrounding you. It's going to be a bit of a blind spot. You're not going to be able to see what's going on around you unless you sit up, stand up, etc. But if you're in the middle of the ground, the floor way or so or near, people may walk over you, step over you, walk by you or so, coming and going, and involving Noah Presgrove and some activities and events around the time of 3 in the morning to 3:30, because I think that's quite a prominent time of all these little mini events taking place, building and leading up to when Noah was to walk away, possible yelling and shouting in the process. And because of the wrongful death lawsuit highlights that Jack and Avery were having a verbal fight with Noah, what time was that? When? And did Kaden pick up on it here? I wonder. Very interesting, these different angles and perspectives. Hopefully I've tried to explain it clear enough. Personally, I'm not too sure about this one, just because of the angling, because of the width, the depth. If we had other screenshots, photos to work with, it probably would have been better. But the fact that with what we've got, and in the background ahead, there's some spots which you can see and other spots which you can't. What I personally think is, and I could be wrong, but based on the back wall over there where those cupboards are, there's another one over Breeley's shoulder, but it goes past the one on the side wall here. So I'm thinking the possible complex layout could be more in the corner. There's more depth. It kind of bends around the cupboards back there. And that's why from this angle, you got the countertop with the boards stuck up, and it works its way deeper into the kitchen area, and not guaranteed, but you get this spot here with additional cupboards away from it. If that was the case, then Kaden Pressy probably wouldn't be able to see round that bend, around that corner. So if Noah Presgrove is sat somewhere around here, even that back table there, possibly on the countertop, eating food, ramen noodles and yogurt with Carter, then maybe Kaden didn't see. And if he didn't see but he was awake, that's kind of interesting. But look, it's not guaranteed. I just wanted to give you a bit of a perspective. With that being said, let's just head on over to the comment section on YouTube. Starting from the bottom, working our way up, we've got Lindy, welcome. And they say, I struggled to believe the validity of Noah Presgrove walking off regularly like they claim in the past. They are just brushing it off and explaining things away to make it look normal. They make up stories to create a normal scenario of what happened to him, I feel, like Noah wanting to sleep in all the beds. Well, okay, we've not seen the hard evidence of the bedroom situation, but for Lindy to say, I don't believe that Noah would normally walk away, and that those who claim that are probably to play it down because they're maybe responsible or hiding something. Well, just remember, Lindy, while she might question it and you might be suspicious, fair enough. I know who you're indirectly calling out, as in being untrustworthy, as in other party goers, like maybe, not party goers, but like Sarah Long and some others that say, oh, it's normal for Noah to walk away. He walked away the day before this and that, etc. But just remember, Lindy, in my own video, and I did highlight it very clearly, it was only Kaden Pressy of all people. It was Kaden Pressy that stated alone that it was normal for Noah to wander off. So even if other partygoers said the same thing and you don't believe in them, Lindy, well, based off your mindset there, you should be calling out Kaden Pressy as well, right? And then if you was to say, no, I believe in what Kaden Pressy says, he's truthful, he's good. Well, if you believe in what Kaden Pressy says about it's normal for Noah to walk away, and yet there's other partygoers that say the same thing, but you don't believe them, well, how does that make sense? Different people saying the same thing, but you will only trust one person over the others that say the same stuff. That's where there's a bit of a complex, a bit of an issue. Not that there is one with you, but just as an example on a bigger scale from the different communities and the Facebooks and the different mentalities over there. It really is dodgy. So I added it in myself because I said, so what's your thoughts on Kaden then saying it's normal for Noah to walk away? Because if you think it's not normal or it's not likely, and other people that state it's normal for Noah to walk away is to make it look normal when it's not, well then Kaden is making it look normal when it's not then. So then does that mean Kaden's in on it as well? I really hope humans can keep up with me. We've got Mike Johnson, which is that the Mike what we've seen recently? Numerous friends have stated there was something Noah did regularly. Even Kaden said it, if no one else's words matter. Exactly, Mike, that's how it should be worded. I see nothing strange about it. It's interesting to me how many people have a hard time believing others' actions because it doesn't make sense to them. It may not make sense to you, but how can you speak for what someone else might do? Prime example, many of Noah's friends, some not at the party, claim this was not unusual for Noah and he had done it many times. Police have the geofence and they took the phones. If anyone was lying, they would know it. There's a coordinated effort of misinformation in Noah's case because sensationalism sells and is profitable. Noah died because of a vehicle. I believe police know that vehicle, proving it is the hard part. If it's as simple as everyone claims, he was beaten by his friends, this case would be solved. Wait. So, still thinking that a vehicle, okay, yeah, a vehicle, what, maybe falling out of one? Or being hit by one, but not as a means of hit and run. Cleo liking the thumbnail. We got Glenn. Ooh, Jam. Timestamp of my video. My opinion. I do think the walking to cool off and returning doesn't seem that strange. Fair enough. What I do find weird is the argument that he would fall asleep in the back of a stranger's truck. Well, when I've used that term, I was mentioning it as a theory and an idea, personally. Party house supporters are making the argument that because Noah fell asleep in the back of someone's truck a month or two before his death, okay, that it's a pattern. So if he's done it once, he's probably done it again. Right, I get what you mean. I don't see it that way. The story that I heard was when he woke up in Oklahoma City. It was no small deal. It's a 1 to 2 hour drive. I understand Noah was a free spirit, but I'm having a hard time believing that he didn't learn from his mistakes. And Robin said he was street smart. That he fell asleep in the back of a truck again. Supporters and conspirators can go fall out of a truck multiple times. Lol, I'm not buying it. Fair enough. Okay. I mean, Kaden Pressy, he was in that car park at the age of 18, drinking, resting, or asleep in his vehicle. Police came along, he got taken in, got in trouble, like charged or something, like for a few hours or a day. And that was at the age of 18. And Kaden Pressy, fast forward on to, 19? 2023 or so, yeah. And then at the party, and Kaden said to Noah, I can't give you a lift back because I've been drinking. And Kaden said in his interviews later, it teared him up inside, but because of the past and getting in trouble with police, he didn't want to risk it again. So, okay, Kaden Pressy learned from his mistakes and didn't want to repeat. Would Noah Presgrove do the same? Who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, when you're drunk and if you mess up or make mistakes, the next time you're drunk, are you going to learn from it? Well, in the moment of being drunk, probably not. You lose your inhibitions, you lose your reflex, your timing, your mindset changes. You can't control yourself, maybe, to some extent. If, you made a mistake when you were drunk in the past, how do you learn from it in the future? You don't get drunk to begin with, maybe. But if Noah Presgrove was already drunk, he was past that point. It's harder to learn from mistakes in the process of being drunk. It's hard to learn from those mistakes the next time you're drunk again in the same situation because the drunk factor is harder to control yourself and, well, to some extent for some people. If you're sober and you made a mistake or messed up, well, the next time you're sober, it'll be easier because you're a bit more aware, a bit more alert. You can react and choose different pathways and actions. But for Noah, if he's just drunk and he's in the moment, maybe he does forget. But the way I see it, if Noah Presgrove in the past once or twice was in the back bed of a truck, right, and he fell asleep, that is an example of it's already happened. And if it's already happened, it adds the possibilities of it could have happened again. Not that it did with confidence, but, you know, when you're theorising or coming up with ideas of what may or may not have happened, if you've got nothing to compare it to within the past, it might seem more impossible to apply in the moment. But if it's already happened once and it's already been known to happen, then it's always possible to happen again. When it's never happened before and you're applying it to the present in the moment, you don't have anything to compare it to. So it makes it more harder to believe. There's more uncertainty. When you're dealing with a level of certainty, there's maybe a little bit more level of confidence, right? That's how I interpret it. If people are pushing it really hard there as an absolute fact, well, then there is a problem, isn't there? Because we don't have absolute hard evidence that it happened again. But the possibilities that it did happen again, because it's already happened before, is still possible. So that's the way I see it. Jam, okay, 23. Well, Raf, what do you say there about the ramen noodles with Carter? I hadn't heard anyone actually named before. The Emmy report reported only 40 ml of a tan liquid in Noah's stomach contents. Okay, so I'm just saying what I'm saying based on what I've heard and what other people have said multiple times. I believe even BBC has mentioned it as well, and the specifics as in Carter being responsible for looking after Noah. That it was the shower situation, naked in the shower. Noah skipping out of the shower, which could be questionable because you think he's drunk, he's groggy from the side-by-side rollover, but yet he's full of energy. What's that all about? Jumping out the shower, naked, teabagging people, and then sitting down, getting some food, and then winding down for the night, early hours of the morning, to go to sleep, but then the bedroom debacle happened. So it's been worded that way by different people, and those from the dark side, as in Carter feeding Noah, looking after. 40 ml is the size of one shot glass for those who drink. I mean, can I just give a suggestion maybe? Is it possible that at whatever time it was when Noah had the yogurts and the ramen noodle, if he had been drinking a lot and it's made his system very runny and whatever, any upset stomachs or anything like that, before or after the bedroom debacle, is it just possible that Noah Presgrove went to the toilet to clear his system out, that the food what he had didn't quite settle in him and he had to go to the toilet immediately? Or if he was drinking too much and he was sick, vomited? Because besides Georgia throwing up, did anyone else throw up? Did Noah Presgrove, or did Noah go to the toilet just after eating and it went out of the system? Maybe more so throwing up rather than sheeting it out, because there wouldn't have been enough time to digest it probably. But then again, I'm not an expert. If anyone's got ideas there, you let me know. Oh, Jam once again. To Brenda. In the live chat brought up, good discussion, Brenda, for a future video. I wonder if the fact that Logan supposedly slept on the floor with Noah on Saturday, Sunday, when she had her own bedroom, is weird to anyone else as well. I've never heard why this happened. Okay, Jam Sandwich, I did question that myself. Why would you sleep on the floor if you've got your own bedroom and bed? Well, reality is, from what we've heard since, and I've heard it online in the community more so mentioned, that there's a small chance it might have been mentioned in the Parts in True Crime interview with Jack Newton and Robin Smith, Ashley Chadwick reacting, listening into it. But what I will say is, it was worded that the reason why Logan and Noah slept on the floor is because they passed out. They didn't have energy, they didn't have the time to get back to the bed. Does it mean that if Logan got to the bed, Logan would have taken Noah with her into the bed? Who knows? But they, just passed out on the floor. Couldn't quite make it to bed. And I'm sure that's happened to people in life where you're tired, you pass out of nowhere, you've not even made it to the bed. That's what supposedly happened here. But what day did it happen on? Was it a Saturday or a Sunday? I believe it was a Saturday night. But then again, not quite Saturday night, maybe early hours of Sunday morning, because there was that argument described as past midnight, early hours of Sunday morning. Then after the argument, maybe passing out, going to sleep. Brenda, I too have wondered why Logan ended up laying on the floor if she had her own room. It's probably because she passed out. Too drunk, couldn't quite make it back to the bed, fell on the floor, slept. I don't necessarily find it weird because there was a party going on and alcoholic beverages were consumed, whereas someone else crashed out in a bedroom. We got Mistress. Ooh, Mistress of the Dread. Welcome. In my opinion, it only seems weird since the next night/morning she has snaps showing her in a bed with Mikey Lair. Right, well, for context there, the snap of Mikey Lair, Logan Jernigan and Jasmine Milan all casually resting in a bed, which is probably Logan's, smiling and happy. That's Monday, and that's at 5:27 a.m. Right? When Logan and Noah were on the floor, that I believe was Saturday night going into early Sunday morning past midnight. Right? So on one day, passing out, unable to get back to bed. On a different day, Monday, not quite going to sleep, not quite tired, but making it back to bed. Different days, different outcomes. So I don't think it's weird personally, with the context there. We've got Natalie or Nathalie, welcome. What is the common denominator? I've been quiet but watching. Well, welcome. Justin Roy booted me off his page, saying I was conspiring with the other side and feeding said side with information. I'd lost my way according to Justin Roy. False. Well, don't worry, Nathalie. Reality is it doesn't take much to get Justin Roy to start labelling this and that all over the place. I mean, you know what the reality is? What I would like to know is, where's the light side gone? Where's the heavenly angels and their trumpets gone blowing off in the wrong direction? Because, you know, for many months I covered it from the light side perspective. And then for a short time I covered it from the dark side. Then the light side got all hissy, pissy, threw the toys out the pram with a piss-pot, peasant-like mentality. And then what now? Where are we at now? A nice merge and blend between light and dark. And as well, just with that wrongful death lawsuit, locking in with that, locking in with the family, locking in with the idea of murder, locking in with the idea of foul play. Where's the light side? Where did they step up? Where did they show up? Hardly anywhere to be seen. All the vocal ones, the majority, where are they at? I thought they would be praising or being all positive about the direction in which I've covered things in. Of course, I've covered it naturally and I do it at a place and time when needed. But I'm just surprised that they haven't shown up in great numbers. Instead, it's the dark side, the dark side in which I'm going against, technically speaking, yet they've been patient enough to still understand from different outlooks. Oh, goodness. It's embarrassing, isn't it? Right? Like in the past where people said, the dark side is all over Wallite Raph's chat. Well, the only reason why it feels that way is because you've pissed off, you've lost stamina, you've given up. Make it 50-50. Not make it one-sided. Stand your ground. I'm still present on my channel despite being attacked multiple times, despite being threatened, despite being harassed, despite being ridiculed in many different ways by other people in the background as well. I'm still standing. I'm still covering the case. Why can't other viewers do the same? If they're so passionate about the case, but they also complain about things taking over, don't let it take over. Don't let it consume. Stay about. And for the other people that just go quiet and watch quietly, probably smart thinking that as well. Being able to take it in without dealing with all the messiness, right? I know Skippy does watch still, more in the background. Appreciate that. Anyway, what else? What is a common denominator? Little girl, boating accident, alcohol, party, motor vehicle, death. Well, that little girl was not drinking alcohol, though, compared to partygoers at this party with Noah Presgrove. So there's a difference there. In terms of the responsible one driving about on the boat with the breath of alcohol, meaning they've been drinking, as to whether they were drunk or not, you could interpret it that way. As for falling into the water out of the boat, they treated that as a mystery, but the actual cause of death was by propeller. So it wasn't done with intent. Maybe an argument to put across as reckless or carelessness, maybe. Anyway, CN's brother. You mean, is that Caleb Newton you're referring to? Brother-in-law accident? where he was chased by ATVs in the dark and ran into a pickup truck parked in the middle of a field, which is a bit weird, and was almost decapitated. Alcohol, party, motor vehicle, death. Noah Presgrove, alcohol, party, motor vehicle, death. Well, we don't know for sure though, do we, with Noah, if there's a motor vehicle involved or not. But, you know, in terms of the others, what motor vehicle, there's a motor on the engine. Do you call a boat a motor vehicle? But no, I get what they mean, a form of transportation in general. But that Warwick boating accident, was it a party though? Would it be considered a party? Is it being hosted as a party, or is it just hanging out? What ultimately defines a party? Or just anything that involves alcohol? Anyway. Common denominator, Newton, Father Newton, and son. Right. Based on interpretation. Oh my God. I never knew that. YouTube's added in replies with AI. I am not going to be using AI. I'll just type in my own comments, make them natural. Fuck me. Why does AI need to take over everything? That is so annoying. Anyway, I'd also like to point out that I appreciate your map analysis. Well, I appreciate that. That's good. I do now think that Noah took a cooling walk, not towards the highway, but rather towards Stevie's trailer. Okay. Nothing I ever thought of. Those maps are crucial. He may have walked down that road and witnessed something, or got to Stevie's trailer and saw something and tried to run away. At the end of the day, this beautiful soul got beaten to death and lost his life. Well, maybe. We don't know with absolute confidence. A beautiful, plentiful life was lost, and so many of us can feel his calling for help and justice. Okay, fair enough. Response-wise, Mike says, first of all, Rosa Newton's brother's death, I'm sure, was devastating to their family. There was a video of it recorded by a neighbour's camera. Really? He wasn't chased and absolutely nothing nefarious happened. It was an ATV accident, all caught on camera. Caleb wasn't even near him. As for the little girl, a tragic accident. Caleb was given a breathalyzer and passed. Is that so? Really? Was that mentioned in the newspaper, though, about passing a breathalyzer? I can say some sketchy deaths with some of the people close to this case, but I don't see where it has anything to do with this case. Caleb wasn't even at this party, so how does that have to do with it? Gossip and lies constantly spreading around. Do some fact-checking before making accusations. It depends how you address them in the first place. And there we go, Brenda. Did Noah only walk off from gatherings where alcohol was consumed, or did he do so at other gatherings with or without alcohol? Key point there. Did he only walk off when upset? Were there instances where he walked off without being upset? All I can say, from what Kaden Pressy has stated, all the parties which Kaden attended in the past, alongside Noah Presgrove, it was normal for Noah to walk away when drunk. And it was normal for Noah to walk away when drunk and when things were getting a bit heated, before the mood went downhill and got negative. Noah either being the problem or someone else, and Noah taking himself out of the equation to cool off. That's how Kaden worded it specifically. There is still that possibility that Noah could have walked off when not drunk and or when not upset. It's always worth acknowledging, of course. If it was known that Noah walked off from parties, why didn't someone who saw him walk off follow him at a distance to keep an eye on him? Fair point, unless they didn't feel the room or need for concern there. But then in fairness, if Noah Presgrove had walked away previously, like the day before, as Sarah Long states, and it required people to go looking for him out of a level of concern, you would think the next time that Noah walks away, people could be like, right, instead of doing a wild goose chase looking for him, one of you go out and follow Noah, because at the end of the day, one or two of them did see Noah walking off and they just stood by and let it happen. Of course, you shouldn't have to hold someone's hand. If they want to walk away or cool off, they should be able to. But if these same said partygoers had to go looking for Noah the day or night before, as Sarah Long mentions, to go looking for someone in the first place implies that you were concerned for their safety and well-being, and that's why you went looking out for them. And yeah, that relief of, well, we found you, you're back and safe. Don't do that again. Maybe. And then what does Noah do? walks away at 3:30 on the Monday. But what? No one goes following after him to ensure that they don't do a wild goose chase? No, they don't do anything. And then a bit later on, maybe around 4, that's when they decide to go looking out, searching again. Maybe it's just down to slow mind, or not quite thinking it through in the moment, not quite taking it serious, not thinking it's that big of an issue. But I do understand what Brenda's getting at here. If someone had followed after him, maybe it would have been different. But then again, you could argue and say, maybe someone did follow after Noah Presgrove. And maybe that's why on that occasion, he did not return back. Maybe. What else? How is Noah seen playing beer pong at 2:42 when the side-by-side rollover is claimed to have been at 2:40? Key point, Brenda. Edited for 2:40 times out. Well, what I would say, Brenda, just a suggestion, and you might have heard it already at the start of the video earlier, that what Kaden saw was a photo from a video. A photo from a video is basically a still screenshot. The video has the original timestamp, provided it's not been edited, original timestamp. But a screenshot from a video is going to be of a different timestamp, maybe a different day of when you took that screenshot from the original video recording. So if the original video recording has a timestamp, but maybe it wasn't visible or shown to Kaden, but there was a timestamp from the screenshot, well, if the screenshot was taken on a different day and at a different time, but it just so happened to say 2:40, it was a coincidence, right? It was around the time of that party, maybe, which Kaden related to and thought, oh, well, 2:40, that must be the time. That is the time then of the rollover. Maybe that timestamp wasn't at the party. That timestamp was on a different day at 2:40 in the morning when that person decided to get a screenshot from the original footage. And Kaden got it mixed up, maybe. Last but not least, we got Marilyn. Welcome to the channel. Sorry, I'm a senior and my money is tight, but please know I have you in my prayers. It says, may the heavenly angels carry you, Noah, and may you rest in peace. Canadian flags, and maybe Marilyn is from Canada. You're welcome, and it's okay, no worries there. So welcome to the channel, Marilyn, and hopefully you find the video somewhat helpful. So we've caught up there with the comments, very important and interesting. All in all, I think it's been an extremely important, interesting video with some key questions and key points and reflections back on the Logan situation and sleeping on the floor by going back over it so it doesn't get forgotten about. Still lacking hard evidence in many different areas, but how many of these said events were actually documented or recorded, or did people think to record it in the first place, if it's out there whatsoever? If there was cameras inside the house and if they were working and they were constantly rolling, you could have seen everything. You could have gone back to a certain time and say, well, yeah, there we go, that did happen. That is claimed to be the case. And that, yeah, they did pass out on the floor. And that, yeah, teabagging did happen or didn't happen, and so on. But we never get that, unfortunately. But if you at least found this video somewhat helpful, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like the video, share so more people get to see it, and leave your comments and thoughts below. See what happens next and what videos could be made, if there are any ideas, we'll just see. But my name's Warlike Raf. I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Goodbye for now.